In this week's video, we're going to make a super cute, super comfy dress. So guys, join me and let's make ourselves a brand new dress. What's up, sewing fam? Welcome back. It's Angie again. This week, we are going to be doing a video on making a dress. We have done videos on making skirts. Now we're gonna bump it up to the next level and we're actually gonna make a dress. It's a really, really easy dress to make and it's super comfortable. So stick with me. I'll show you the tips and the tricks that I use to make it as easy and as painless as possible. Let's get sewing. Okay, so this dress actually uses a half circle skirt. Don't be afraid. Circle skirts do not have to be difficult. It's actually a super easy formula. So the first thing you're gonna wanna do is just measure around your waistline. Right around my natural waistline, I measured, I think it was 32 inches. Whatever your waist measurement is, you're going to divide it by 3.14 pi. So when I divided my waist measurement by 3.14, I actually got a measurement of like 10.1 something or other. If you get a really small decimal for your measurement, just round up to the nearest quarter inch. So I actually rounded mine just to 10 inches because I know that that's sufficient for me. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you now how we're gonna measure that on a piece of fabric and we're gonna cut out your circle skirt. Okay, so after taking my waist measurement and the length of my skirt and dividing my waist measurement by 3.14, I'm coming up with a radius of about 10 inches. If you come up with a weird decimal when you divide your waist by the 3.14, then just go ahead and round up to the nearest quarter inch. So rounding up for me is going to be about 10 inches. So what I'm going to do is I have my fabric all laid out. This is the fold of my fabric right here. It's folded right here. So I'm gonna take my tape measure, ruler, whatever you have, and I'm gonna measure the 10 inches from the top down. So my 10-inch mark is gonna be right here. I'm gonna go ahead and mark the 10 inches. I'm gonna keep this corner exactly where it is. So I'm gonna hold my finger on it as I measure 10 inches around. I'm just gonna move my tape measure, mark 10 right there, move my tape measure, mark 10 right here, and that's gonna give me a nice waist definition there for my skirt, okay? Now for the length, I'm gonna keep my tape measure at exactly the same spot. I want my length to be about 27 inches, which falls right here. We're gonna do the exact same procedure. I'm gonna mark 27 inches while still holding the corner up here. Don't let that corner move. I'm gonna move my tape measure around, mark 27 inches, move it around, 27, move it around, 27, and then you're gonna get a nice half circle right there. Okay, I'll show you up close. Okay, so you can see my little purple marks here where I marked 27 inches around. You can see I'm right at 27. Okay, so that's for the length. And then up here are the purple marks for my 10 inches that I'm marking around. Like here's my 10 spot. So we're gonna mark those all around. And once I get those marked, I'm gonna go ahead and cut. So when we cut, it's gonna be a nice little half circle, okay? So let's go ahead and cut out what we've marked so far. Okay, so just to preface the video real quick, the dress I'm actually working on making myself is a really dark red, kind of like a maroon color dress, and it's going to be really difficult for me to show you like the markings on the dress and things like that. They're not gonna show up really well on camera. So I am actually sewing a red dress for myself, but I'm going to show you the steps on a white fabric. That way they show up better. So I just wanted to let you know so there was no confusion. As we go through the video, you'll actually see me sewing my red dress, but I'm going to visualize everything for you on the white fabric. Okay guys, so when we get everything cut out, you can see we have a nice half circle at the top. This is our folded edge all the way down along here. And then we've got the nice half circle for our bottom. Okay, so this is gonna be one side of our skirt. Now we're going to go ahead and do the exact same thing again because you're gonna have two skirt pieces that we're actually going to sew together. Okay, so this is the first one. Now let's do the exact same thing for the second one, and then we'll be all done cutting out our skirt. Okay, so you guys can see I went ahead and cut out my second one here. This is the folded edge. So now I have 2 skirt pieces and we're all ready to go with our skirt pieces. Next we'll cut out our bodice. Okay, so now we're gonna cut out the bodice of our dress. So I'm just taking a shirt that I have that fits me really well, that I like, and I'm actually gonna use this to trace out the pattern for the bodice of my dress. So what I did was I took my shirt and it's just folded in half. See if I unfold it that way. So the fold is right along here. This is also the fold of my fabric. So I'm just gonna line it up right with the fold of my fabric. Now keep in mind your shirt is a little bit longer. This shirt comes to about my hips. I don't want it to come there for my dress. I want it to come up about here for my dress, for the bodice. So I'm actually going to cut it off right about here. So I'm just gonna fold this up so that I have the new length of my shirt, and I'm just gonna use this as the pattern for the bodice of my dress. So I'm just gonna take my marker, I'm gonna trace right along here, right along here. I'm gonna stop where the sleeves start for the time being, and then I'm gonna pick up again right under the arm ski there, and we're just gonna trace that right out. And now to trace out where your sleeves are gonna go, I'm just gonna fold my sleeves over this way, and I'm just gonna kind of lay this out here, and we're just gonna roughly trace right around there. And so you can see now I have the pattern for the bodice of my dress. And when I cut it out, you're gonna wanna remember that you need a little bit of a seam allowance. So I'm actually gonna cut it a little bit bigger than what I drew here. Okay, so when we cut it out, I'm just gonna give myself an extra like 1/2 inch all the way around to cut it out to allow for the seam allowance when we sew the dress together. Okay, so this is gonna be the back bodice piece, and then we're gonna do the same thing with the front bodice piece, but we're gonna do one thing a little bit different. Okay, so you can see here where I traced out the back bodice piece. Now we're gonna do the exact same thing for the front, but you see the front neckline is a little bit lower. So when we cut out the front piece, we're actually going to start tracing here instead of here, because we want this neckline to be a little bit lower. So this is what the front piece would look like. Okay, so I have the shirt laid out to trace the front part of the bodice. So now we're gonna start right here, and we're still going to come all the way right up here, trace over to the sleeve line, then we're gonna come back down here at the bottom of the arm ski, trace right down to the bottom of our shirt, okay? And then all we're gonna do is kind of connect the dots here. So right up here is our top. So we're just gonna kind of take this and take it right up to the shoulder seam there, okay? And now you have the front piece traced out for your bodice as well. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and cut out the front of our bodice and the back of our bodice, and then we'll have the bodice all ready to go. Okay, so we can see that I have my 2 bodice pieces cut out. This is the back bodice piece with the higher neckband. This is the front bodice piece with the little bit of a lower neckband. This is the fold here. This is the fold here. And now we have our bodice pieces cut out, both front and back. We have our skirt pieces cut out right over here. And then I have my sleeve pieces cut out here as well. For the sleeves, I actually used a pattern. So because I'm making a flutter sleeve on this dress instead of a standard sleeve. So I'm gonna go ahead and link that pattern in my description. It's a free pattern and if you wanna do a flutter sleeve. If you don't wanna do a flutter sleeve, that's fine. You'll have to find a pattern for whatever kind of sleeve you do wanna do, but I think that this dress will look really nice with the flutter sleeve. All right, so we have all of our pieces cut out. Now we're gonna take everything to the sewing machine and sew it all together super quick. Okay, so now that everything is cut out, we're gonna go ahead and start sewing our dress together. We're gonna start actually with the skirt portion of our dress, and we're just gonna take both of our skirt pieces and we're gonna put them together, right sides together. We're gonna line them up, and then we're just gonna go ahead and sew right up the side seam on both sides. So the side seam on this side and then the side seam on the other side, do the exact same thing. And when you're all done with that, then you're all finished with your skirt portion. Okay, so with your skirt portion all finished, you can go ahead and put that to the side and we're going to work on our bodice piece. Now our bodice piece, we're going to go ahead and again, right sides together. We're going to put these together and just kind of line them up right at the shoulder seams right here. And once you get the shoulder seams lined up, then we're going to go ahead and stitch across both of those shoulder seams. Okay, both of our shoulder seams are now stitched all the way across on the bodice piece. So the next step we're going to do then is we're going to attach our sleeves. Okay, so to attach your sleeve, we're going to go ahead and we're going to open up our bodice so that we have our right side facing out. And we're going to take our sleeve so that it is also right side facing down. Okay, so we're going to put our right sides together and we're just going to take this inner corner piece right here and line it up with the corner of our bodice piece. And this inner corner piece right here, we're going to line that up with the other corner of our bodice piece. Hopefully you guys can see that okay. We're lined up right along here, so you just want to take pins, pin this in place, or clips, whatever you have on hand, and then we're just going to stitch our sleeve right to our bodice piece. All right, the sleeve is all stitched on, so when we pull this down there, you can see we have a nice, if I close this up here, you can see we have ourselves a nice little flutter sleeve right there. Okay, so we're going to take the other sleeve and we're going to do the exact same thing on the other side of our bodice piece. So you're going to take that sleeve and just put it right along here and then stitch it in the same manner that you did the first sleeve. Okay, and then we're all finished with our sleeves. Okay guys, so you can see that I have both sleeves sewn on now. We have this sleeve, we have this sleeve. The next thing I'm going to work on is the neck. I'm not going to do a traditional neck binding that I would normally do. I'm going to cheat a little bit. This neck binding that I'm going to do gives a really nice clean finish. It's almost like a neck facing more than a binding. So I'm going to show you how to do that real fast. The first thing you're going to want to do is take a tape measure and just measure the opening of your neck there. I went ahead and did that, and the opening of my neck measured about 22 inches. So after I got my neck measurement, then I cut a strip of fabric just like this. You see it's the same fabric. And I cut it 22 inches long, the same as my neck measurement, and 2 inches wide. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this piece of fabric that I cut, I'm going to fold it in half, and I'm just going to sew this short edge right up. So you can go ahead and do that now, just sew your short edge. Okay, so our neck binding, we went ahead and sewed up the short edge. So now we're just going to take this piece of fabric and we're going to lay it in our neck opening and we're going to sew it right to our neck. So I use this as the middle back of my dress. If you want this seam to go somewhere else, a shoulder seam or somewhere else on your dress, that's totally fine. Personal preference right there. But I'm going to put mine right in the middle of the back here. So we're going to lay this neck binding in there, right sides facing together. So you see my prints are facing each other. And we're just going to put this to kind of tuck this all the way in, all the way around. And then we're just going to take pins and pin this right to the neck binding and then go ahead and sew your band in all the way around your neck lining. Okay, we have the neckband all stitched in place. So what I'm going to do now is just take the neckband and I'm going to fold it down just like this so that it makes this nice seam right here. And then on the front of my dress, I'm going to use just a straight stitch and I'm going to stitch about 1/4 of an inch down from where this fold is. And it's just going to stitch this band right in place. Okay, I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so once you make that stitch, this is what the finished product looks like. I did use a little bit of a darker thread so you could see what I was doing. Now, on the inside, you have a little bit of extra fabric. Here, you can cut it off and leave your stitch at just one single stitch here. That will look great. Or sometimes I'll just go ahead and add another stitch down a little bit further. I just think it gives it a really neat, clean appearance, and that's the way I like to finish mine. But again, personal preference. So you can feel free to add another stitch line down a little bit. I'll show you what that looks like. I did the same thing on my red dress, so I'll show you what that looks like. Or you can leave it like this and just trim off your extra right here. But let me show you what it looks like with the 2 lines of stitching. Okay, so on the red dress, I did the top line of stitching, and then I just kept the extra fabric there and did another line of stitching here. So I just think it looks really neat, and it just looks very clean and finished, and it kind of gives it that professional edge that I really like. So again, personal preference, guys. You can do it this way, or you can just trim off your extra fabric, whichever you prefer. Okay, so the last step for our bodice is we're going to go ahead and sew up the side seams. So I just took my bodice and I lined up, this is the bottom of my bodice, and then here's my sleeve. I'm just going to line that all up, pin right along here or clip, whichever you use, and then I'm just going to go ahead and sew from the bottom all the way up to the top of my sleeve on both sides. Okay, so sewing up the side seams is really very self-explanatory. When you get to where the sleeve is, you have that little bit of a curve here. The trick is pull it straight. So I'm just going to kind of gently pull my sleeve towards me and see how that creates a nice straight line there. That way, I'm sewing a nice straight line when I get to the sleeve, and I don't have to try to sew around a tricky curve. So that's my little tip for you. Whenever you have a curve, do your best to pull it straight and just make a straight line. Okay, and here is our finished side seam. All nice and pretty. And there was that tricky curve. We just pulled that straight and it worked like a charm. Okay, so we did both of our side seams. The last step we have to do then is attach this bodice to our skirt piece, which is going to be super easy. Okay, so final step, we're going to attach our bodice piece here to our skirt pieces. So really quickly, what you want to do is you just want your bodice piece to be right side facing out, and it's upside down. So the neckband is down here, and then this is the part down here that's going to get sewn to the skirt. Okay, so I'm going to take this bottom part in my hand, and I'm just going to kind of shove the whole bodice piece inside my skirt pieces. Okay, so it's going to be right side facing out. We're just going to shove it right in here. It doesn't want to go, but yeah, there we go. And then we're going to take our edge pieces here to the bottom of our bodice, and we're going to line it up with the top of our skirt, and then we're just going to sew right around the edge here, and that's going to attach our bodice to our skirt piece. So I did do this already with my red dress. This is the outside of my dress, the right side, and I had that just tucked right inside here. I just shoved it right inside my skirt and then sewed right along the edge. And when you're all done, you have the bodice piece attached to your skirt piece, and we now have a finished dress. Guys, here is the finished dress. Isn't it so cute? And it even has the coveted twirl factor. I mean, you really just can't get better than that. And the best part is you made it. I may even add a black belt to mine just to add a little bit of definition around the waist. Go ahead and dress yours up. Make it totally your own. The best part about it is you made it. It fits you perfectly, and now you can add whatever accessories you want to make it look awesome. So I'll try to throw a clip in the end of the video here with the black belt just so you can see the difference. It makes a pretty big difference. And that's it for this week's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned a lot. I hope you're no longer afraid of circle skirts or half circle skirts, because they're really not difficult at all. And I look forward to the next video, guys. If you have any suggestions on my next video, please comment it below, and I'll do my best to get to those videos. Again, if you have any questions, let me know those as well. Until the next video, happy sewing, everyone.